Toronto International Film Festival 2021 is the edition when we don't know whether the weather is fine or not. Isn't it, Carlo Francisco?
Thank you.
Carlo, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
Your film, the weather is fine.
Yeah.
But the original title in Tagalog, in Philippine, is different, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not the direct translation, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's Kung May Upay Man at Panahon. It's basically, it's not Tagalog. It's practically a dialect where I was born and raised.
Oh.
So I mainly used this dialect for the whole film.
What dialect it is?
It's Waray-Waray. It's mainly used in the middle part of the Philippines. Not a lot of people knows about it. So I mean, Philippines has different dialects, like 54 in a way.
Oh.
So this one is more specific, and I feel the need to use it mainly because I feel like the use of this dialect with a thing that I'm talking about very factual. It's basically the sincerity towards making like a film like this. So yeah.
Completely. The film is set in the storm that happened in 2013.
Yeah. Yes.
And you wanted to make a film in 2014. You had a grant to make a film in 6 months.
Yeah.
What happened with the grant?
What happened with the grant? So basically, you know about this. So, what happened with the grant? It was more of like we were actually scared pulling it out, mainly because on contract, if we pull out, we have to pay more. But then also, it was the first time that, because I didn't know about this co-production thing. Well, personally, as a Filipino filmmaker, we have this big festival. And then I really just wanted to make and show this film to the local audience. And at the same time, we actually got into a workshop in Cannes. It's La Fabrique du Cinéma du Monde. And I felt it was a good opportunity for the film. I didn't know how it would work, but in a sense, it was much more of a risk of that what we did. Thankfully, the festival that offered this grant actually understood this thing that we got, so they let us out. And now it's a different film.
Yes, La Fabrique de Cinéma. It usually happens also in Cannes, and it's a very, very powerful fund that France has to promote this. Films all around the world.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, you did some short films.
Yeah, that's the case also. I think with a lot of like films coming from Southeast Asia, it's not usually the case where you develop like this long, because the film has been in development and like funding and financing for like 7 years. But I think the good thing to come out of it was like I had the time to actually do things, meaning I had the time to actually explore in a sense the kind of cinema that I really wanted to make. If I actually have done this film like years back, it could have been a different film. It could have been a film. Yeah. It could have been a film that was just this. It could have been the same. Talking about tragedy. It could have been the usual dramatics that you've seen. But with this stage that I went through with 7 years, I kept on making shorts, and unconsciously, I think I learned the kind of cinema that I really wanted to make. And in a way, I mean, this is my takeaway. It made me feel much more of a confident, should I say the least, with how this film is right now. And I mean, like 7 years is a lot, but I am not complaining, and it helped not just me, but everyone else involved in it. So yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if during the 7 years you've changed the script. But something that I like from the film is that you get the feeling that I guess it's what happens after such a terrible thunderstorm, that anything can happen. You don't know what is going to happen in the next scene, what's going to surprise you. It's like kind of a surreal ambience, but anything can happen. That's very well put. How did you think about it? How did you establish?
I think it
writing?
was much more of a well. I was working with co-writers. I work with Carlo Abrahan, and I also work with a French co-writer. I think more than anything, there was it was based on a feeling that I felt when I was actually trying to find my family in the storm. I was actually lost and confused. You know, like you're there, you're moving, you're striding, you feel like you're a zombie or something. You constantly move, but you don't know where you're going. So that kind I also wanted to like portray in the film, and I feel like the film you have this confusion and whatsoever, and sometimes you even don't understand what's happening. But the main point of it is like the takeaway, at least after you have watched the film, is at least you felt something. It may be bad, it may be good, or maybe question things about anything, and I think it if an audience actually feels this way, then I think I did something.
Yes, completely. You know, there are three main characters in the film.
Yeah.
One of them is a very well-known actress in Philippines. But how did you choose him?
I actually had this struggle with casting, mainly because number one was the use of the dialect. Also, I mean, like a lot of actors are Manila centric, so we've been using Tagalog, but in a sense, I really wanted to challenge the actors and also myself, like pushing forth with the use of the dialect. I also wanted to have this play on the generations of casting. Generations meaning generations of actors, which has different play on how they perform. So I have this very veteran actress, Charo Santos, who played in films, classic films, Mike De Leon, Lau Diaz, and I really look up to her. You have Daniel Padilla, the boy who's like the it boy right now. He's like really popular, and you have someone who nobody knows. It's like a newbie, But in a way, it was more an experimentation in approach where I really wanted to see how they balance out this kind of like performance. Especially it's an ensemble, to say the least. I mean, it focuses much more on the mother and son, but like you have this sort of like mix of how they perform, and the balance could come out mainly because when it's not just performing for the film, but mainly because I feel they understood the intention of the film. And just a trivia also, Daniel Padilla, I had lesser time to actually run through the dialogues because he actually spoke Waray, the dialect. He was there. He was born and raised there. That was also one of the key points of casting somebody who knows the dialect. So yeah.
Yes, and that's very important because you know what stays in the film stays forever.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very important to pass your dialect to the future, to place it for the people.
That is true.
And there is a feeling that there are a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you can think, well, if in Titanic they copy and paste to people, they can do it. But when you stay at the credits, you see there are lots of people. How did you get involved? All the extras, all the let's call them actors that participate.
More than anything, I'm really thankful for everyone who got involved in the film. Most importantly, like key points in the film where there are lots of extras. We actually shot in my hometown, so I was actually pretty, in a way, conflicted and scared, to say the least. Mainly because like it's something that they survived in, and I didn't want to trigger them in a way that it would make them suffer in terms of like they think again of what had happened in the past. So a lot of it actually went through by really letting them understand why I was making it. More than anything, it sounds cheesy, but it's a love song to my hometown. Like I wanted to tell their story because like these stories that you see about the tragedy, it's always seen at this light, and I wanted it to focus more on the plight of like the people, the survivors. And it's in a way, like a celebration of resiliency in such a way. So it was. I didn't want to do like visual effects of the people because they were merely there and wanted to be there and wanted to be present in the film. And like with the credits that you saw, I think they deserve to be in the film. That's why.
Completely.
It looks
it's
like an
amazing,
essay.
so many
it looks
people.
Like, yeah.
Oh.
I know. It's also a statement for me in a way where like like people extras sometimes they don't get really like involved in these things, and you cannot make a film without them. So I place them there.
Completely. You were talking about celebration, and in your film there are some parts that are within the drama.
Yeah.
There's kind of celebration, concerts. That's the ambience of the Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's very shocking.
Yeah.
That's something you lived when the storm happened.
Yeah, practically in the Philippines, it's mostly a Christian Catholic country. Christmas is such a big deal. I mean, we celebrate it like it's really a big thing, and it happened like a month before Christmas. So all these things, like the celebration, the lack of it, the people struggling and the people celebrating, the people surviving, the people hoping, it's there and it's in the film. Like, of course, in a sense, when a lot of things would seem like these tragedy are factual, so you should show it as something that should be this one. But I wanted it to show it in a different light, where in a sense you interpret not just because this is what you've been seeing it at always, like the cliche, but mainly because maybe nobody really presents films about tragedy at this space, this kind of territory. So I am really, I mean, I've been really ready since the start that there would be like this kind of like conversation. But I think that if conversation sparks, then I think there must be something with the film that makes people actually talk about it, and like and talking about it makes it much more, how to say, universal, and it becomes like something that you can actually watch again, and then you get used to it. So I hope, I don't know, I mean, it's always a struggle, yeah.
Completely. At the beginning of this interview, of this conversation, you said that when you in 2014 you started the film, started to think about the film, you wanted to share it with the community. So now that you have finally done the film, have you seen it?
No, sadly not yet. Of course, with what is happening right now, also this is not related to your question, but like with the pandemic, we're really lucky that we shot pre-pandemic, but in a sense we hit the sack and we had like a roadblock because of the pandemic during post-production. But a lot of things from the final film that you have seen are actually thought about just because of the pandemic, like
because you finalized the shooting on February 2020.
2020, it's like a month before. But in a sense, a lot of big elements in the film were thought about during this times that we're living. Like if you noticed, like the announcements, like there's no storm, there's a storm, there's no storm. This it's also a critic on like, not, of course it's a critic on the Philippine government, but in essence it's like it's a worldwide thing, and I want to talk about it. It's not just about the storm, it's about something that everyone actually suffers, and we're still suffering, and I want to show that, like, authorities not being able to do this and then trying to do this but not really, there's always questions, and it makes you think about this.
The film has been premiered at Locarno Film Festival. Now it's in Toronto Film Festival. That is an opportunity for the film to be seen around the world, not only on the festivals, but buyers, or is it going to be seen everywhere?
So far, a lot of unannounced festivals. Yes, I'm happy with the lineup that it would have in the next coming months. But more importantly, what I'm really excited about is to show it back home. in the Philippines. No plans yet because of the situation. I hope to see it in the big screen. I hope to share it to people in the big screen, but let's see. I mean, more than the whole festival list of everything, it really is, it will warm my heart to like finally share it at home.
I think it would be a very good film for going back to the theaters again. You know, to kind of celebrating and at the same time grieving.
Yeah,
Like in your film.
Yeah.
That's the mix of feelings.
Yeah.
It would be a
I
nice
have
opportunity.
a conversation with this with my friend, and they said like when the cinema opens, maybe your film could play, but also we're actually balancing out how people would take it. You know, like you go out to the theater, you want to see something that makes you like entertained or something, or like makes you happy. Yeah. But in a sense, I think what I want to have this in the theaters when the cinema goes back, it's for people to really critically think of what has happened the past few years, and it's there. I hope it gets appreciated back home.
Completely. You are editor also.
Yeah,
You've
yeah,
done
yeah,
a lots of editing.
yeah.
So, what are your next projects?
Um,
Editing, directing, both.
no. Editing has been my first love. I mean, like before, I really wanted to direct, but I have to pay the bills, and I really want editing because it's also something that I feel like it's also directing. You know, you change the narrative, you do something, and something that you cannot do in like writing or shooting. So it's my first love, but in a way, I want to stick to directing. If I do edit, I would like choose the projects that I'm working on. So far, I just finished. A week back, I edited in Istanbul an Indonesian film. Yeah. It's quite a weird part of the world where we edited, but because I couldn't go back to Indonesia, so we met in Istanbul, and I hope people would like look out for that film. It's amazing. So it.
That was going to be the last one, but now I'm thinking. You don't appear on the credits like as editor.
Yes.
Has been a good relationship with the editor?
Yeah, of course. Like I mean, with my past shorts, it was always me who has been editing, except for the last two shorts. Mainly because I wanted also to get a hold of myself in terms of control. I think if I did edit the last two shorts and this one, I would be too into it to the point where I don't see a different perspective. So of course it was really hard because I've been editing a lot, so this experience would actually like, what's this. But I got a very good editor. He's a really good friend of mine, Bienvenido Ferrer. I trust him. He knows the kind of shit that I want, so it was practically easier in terms of the response of how we actually made the film. So yeah, I'm happy. Yeah.
That's very important because if you don't have someone you trust,
Yeah.
it can be very difficult to erase or to change that kind of scene.
But
so.
you know what? Like I think my main takeaway, just mainly because I've been working, I don't have attachments to what I shot.
Oh,
So it's
that's
like
important.
no attachments. Like I shot this, it's a big scene, it doesn't work. Bye. I don't like no.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's what I learned when like working with a lot of like directors. Like I learned a lot actually. More than anything, the one that also pushed me were to actually direct were like a few of my directors. So I say thanks to them every time. Yeah.
Okay, that's been a great school for sure. Talking and editing with great director. Thank you.
Thank you very much
for being with us. Carlo Francisco Manatad.
Perfect.
Okay.
Super.
And see you next time. As editor or as director?
Well, see you soon. I hope. Thank you very much for having me.